Welcome back to Sipping Reality with Jill and
Megan.
Today we will be continuing our podcast talking about weird fetishes that we've encountered in our dating lives.
Well, we started this discussion before we started recording, and then we realized we needed to press record. So
We did. I think we should ease into them, though. I think when we were talking beforehand, we kind of went right for, like, the most shocking ones. Should we ease in with, like...
the least shocking?
Yeah, yes, the least shocking. What would be the least shocking fetish that you have encountered? I'm surprised.
Go ahead.
You have one?
I was just going to say peeing on someone.
Oh, yes. Yes. Let's start with how many men have foot fetishes.
A lot.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I don't find anything wrong with having a foot fetish.
No.
It doesn't do anything for me particularly.
I mean, you want my feet in your mouth, that's fine.
That's fine. Go for it. Lick them.
Yeah.
Lick them. Suck on my toes.
Hold them. That's fine.
Tell me to wear certain stockings or
Buy me shoes for my feet.
Buy me shoes. Yeah, absolutely buy me shoes because I need shoes. So but it's not
That's the
something.
least shocking one.
Yes, that's the least shocking.
Yeah.
But it is shocking how many men actually have a foot fetish, I think.
Yeah.
I've been very surprised. I'm not surprised by men having a foot fetish. I'm surprised by the amount of men that have one.
Me too.
So, let's move on to urine.
Yeah. Peeing on someone is not as shocking. Peeing in someone's mouth,
That was a little shocking to me the first time I heard that. I had heard in my 20s about being peed on, and I can understand from a person's perspective why that may turn them on, because it's puts you in a position of, yes, that dominating position of, like, degrading, like, I can do anything I want to you and you're gonna enjoy it, like
real submission.
Yes, it's definitely a power.
I'm not opposed to that one either, honestly.
I'm opposed to that
She's
one.
opposed to
I am definitely opposed. I have had a man pee on me before.
I don't want somebody to spit in my face,
No, thank you.
but
I wouldn't mind a man slapping me if I could slap him back. That might be a little fun because you get a little angry and have, like, a little angry sex and get hot and heavy. I might not be so opposed to that, but I don't want to be slapped and then spit on.
ew, no, I don't want to be slapped too hard either.
I think we need to talk more about this urine thing, though.
Oh,
I'm not done.
no.
Okay, so
I mean, if they're like they would have to be like very well hydrated.
I talked about, so I met a guy, I had sex with a man who told me that he had allowed a woman to pee on him before. He said it didn't do anything for him, but he was totally cool with her doing it, and it completely turned her on. And I asked, I'm like, was she at least well hydrated? I was like, please,
question.
yes, I was like, please tell me that it didn't, like, really smell like urine. That wasn't, like, brownish, like that dark yellow, like, you know, like, did they eat beets the night before? Because that might be a little freaky if, like, the urine's red urine. At least it wouldn't smell necessarily, but...
Right.
Yeah, that is an important question. So I had heard of all of these things being peed on and all that. And then a couple weeks ago, this man was like, I want you to wake up in the middle of the night and I want you to sit on my face so I can eat you out, and you have to go pee, and instead you're just gonna pee in my mouth while I lick your clit. And I was like, oh. I said, I don't think I can do that.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that I could do that.
I don't even like sitting on someone's face to begin with.
Yeah, no, men say that all the time. Sit on my face. I'm like, it's not relaxing for me. No. Like, I can't enjoy it.
I would not enjoy smothering someone like that.
No, right? I'm like, how are you gonna breathe, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what? No, but they say, like, one guy the other day was like, you can sit on my face and then you can grind into me so that I have a hard time breathing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't want to do that to you.
Yeah, we're getting into another weird one.
Yeah.
That is a weird one.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm not shaming anybody for
No,
that.
no. I mean, everybody has their things.
It's
Absolutely.
just weird.
Just not for
weird
me.
in terms of that's not what I like.
Yeah, it's not good for me.
It's not good for me.
Yeah. Well, there was
That's gonna be
okay.
a no for me.
Okay, so this leads into another one. Okay, so there's some that really enjoy the feeling of plastic or latex against their skin. So there was this one man that enjoyed the feeling of the pressure of plastic or latex so much on their skin that they would take plastic bags and put them over their face and suck all the air out until they couldn't breathe, just to have that feeling. It did something for him to have that feeling of the plastic so tightly against his skin, and he didn't want to have that feeling of not being able to breathe, but he was willing to go there in order to have the feeling of plastic. And he asked me if I would watch him on video do it, and I said I'm not sure I could, because that might trigger me, because I have been in a position where I haven't been able to breathe before. And he was like, oh, I'll just try it. And so I watched a video of him. I was like, I can't even watch that, because for him it had nothing to do with the lack of air and lack of oxygen, but for me I couldn't separate the two. I was like, I can't watch you do that because I can't separate it.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't breathe. Like, oh, it's very, it makes my throat close up.
Oh, it's so interesting.
Yeah, but I can actually understand that to him that had a feeling on his skin that probably even maybe felt safe.
Yeah.
To have that pressure of like that smooth something that's comforting, a comforting feeling, smooth against his face.
Suck your fingers and rub your cheek.
Yeah, or how I touch my hair constantly. I am always twirling my hair, and it's because I smooth it out. I have really straight hair, so I smooth it out, and then I twirl it in my fingers, and I just feel the softness, and that brings me comfort, and it always has. And people have made fun of me for that, but it's not. It's a comfort thing. Yeah, like a little kid sucking their thumb.
Well, that brings me into another one. Men in diapers. And want to be changed by mommy.
Oh, wow. Well, I could see where that could stem from, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's really no judgment on these things. Like, this all stems from our deep human needs that haven't been met by the human beings that were supposed to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have those things. And
also, along those lines, I'm very surprised by how many men love breastfeeding.
Oh, yep.
Which is, very deeply psychological, too.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I was asked if I was still nursing, and I had just stopped nursing my son 6 months ago. And I had nursed for 10 years. I nursed children. No, I nursed children for 12 years. So I nursed for, like 12 years. I was like, I just stopped like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could let a man nurse off me.
I have. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah. For some reason, I'm able to separate the...
I don't know if I would or not. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either. There's something about it that I'm able to separate the sexual nature of it and the nurturing a child nature of it. I don't know how I can make that switch. But...
Well, it's the same as like when I was nursing children. I couldn't imagine feeling sexual with my nipples and breasts anymore, because they were just being like used and abused by children to feed them for so long. And then I stopped, and then I started dating again after being married for so long. And one of my first thoughts when I started dating was, yep, I'm gonna stop nursing. And my son was already over 2, so I was like, yep, gotta stop, because I needed to separate that. I needed to, like, I couldn't feel sexy there and still like be nursing my son every day. I was like, no, I'm gonna stop. And then I stopped, and all of a sudden, very pleasurable to have a man.
I had partner who wanted to lay in my lap and nurse while I stroked his hair,
Mm-hmm.
which is very, it's very childish.
Yes.
And
But very intimate and caring and loving and
yeah,
cared for. I could imagine how much he must have enjoyed that and how enjoyable it is to give that to somebody.
yeah. It was very comforting, clearly.
And yet I could see how people could find that to be very disturbing and strange, but I completely understand why it would be very loving and comforting to both people.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think things are so strange anymore. See, people are always like, you think too much. You're too into trying to figure people out. But you know what? It's really brought me to this place where I think I'm one of the most least judgmental people that I know at this point, because it's
Because we're analyzing.
yes, because it's allowed me to say, like, hey, I'm screwed up, you're screwed up, where does this stem from? Like, okay, I get that. And like, yeah, some things cross a line. There is crossing a line. Like, I can understand why people want to murder people, but you can't go murder people. Like, there's things that you can't do. Like, just because you have that desire, or some trauma has created something in you that you have a desire for something, like there's certain things that do cross a line where, sorry, you have to refrain from that, even though it's a deep desire within you.
Right.
And you know, I can even have empathy for how much that stinks for you.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot give in to your desires. I have desires that aren't harmful to anyone, so I get to give in to my desires.
Right.
Is that fair? No, not really. But sorry, you can't give in to those desires. I still agree that you can't just like go around doing certain things.
Right.
But I can still have empathy and understanding.
Where it stems from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. If you guys out there listening can think about, you know, some intrusive thoughts that you've had, like, let's get real. Let's get honest. You know, you don't have to say it out loud. We'll say it out loud for you. But
Right.
you know, we'll admit to it. But like, you know, have you had some intrusive thoughts that might cross some boundaries before? But you know, what we do is we have the intrusive thought and we go, oh wow, that's not good, and we move on from them.
Well, most people are able to shut that off.
Yes.
And not entertain it.
Yes. But depending on.
But then if you can't, that stems from something too. There's
yes.
something going on that doesn't give you the ability to shut it off.
Well, I used to be that way with alcohol.
Yeah.
I used to have the thought of drinking, and then I could not stop thinking about drinking until I drank. And now I'm capable of thinking about drinking, have the desire to drink, and say, yep, I know where that's going to lead. No, thank you. And I move on with my day, and I don't obsess about it. So why couldn't I do that before? And now I can. I don't know. I mean, I could psychoanalyze that right now, but we don't have the time to go into that. We're talking about other things.
Oh, yeah. We should. I do have another one that's really bad.
Yes, let's move on, because we have some more interesting fetishes to talk about today.
And this one, out of all of the ones that I've heard, I don't understand it. It's a really hard one for me. I had someone message me and they said, I want to be your sugar daddy for you to poop in my mouth. And like, you literally do it for free. Like, I'm telling you, I will pay you to do it in my mouth. And I'm like, I just didn't even answer the person, because that's just really gross. And I mean, somebody could get really sick from eating poop too, so that, like, just
yeah, I don't want to judge. I really don't, but I can say that I don't understand that, and it makes me it brings my gag reflex up to think about it. It is pretty gross. I have had a man be really pushy. I had to stop talking to him and be very clear that I wasn't going to do this, but he really wanted me to poop naked and tell him when I pooped and what time of day I pooped, and take pictures of me pooping naked for him. And he sent me a picture of him on the toilet pooping, and I said that I didn't like, he's like, did you like my picture? And I said I didn't like that. I said, I told you I wasn't into that. I said, I understand that you're into that, but I'm not into that. So you
Right.
need to understand that. Like, I get it. That's cool for you. It's not for me. So I can respect your fetish. You need to respect that it's not my fetish. And he couldn't respect that. So I had to stop speaking to him.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't go as far as the, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't gross me out. Like, it's like, okay, well, you enjoy that. Like, okay, find somebody that does. Find some woman that's totally cool taking pictures of that, and that'll turn you on. Like, I don't need to judge that. But, yep, I think I, I do have a hard time with the fact that a man asked you to do that.
I mean, outside of like children and stuff, that is like the one thing I just don't understand. Like, obviously, you know, like wanting children is in another category, I think, but
It is, and yet, you know, I think it's a lot more common than most people understand.
Oh, I have been in chat rooms for 20 years, and hundreds and hundreds of men that they like age play. It's just and there's been a bunch of times where I'm like, this person is actually doing this in real life. I can tell, you know, which was wicked disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Being on the other end, like, oh my god, like, this person's like actually a predator.
Yep.
But it is so much more than I would have ever thought. And like reflecting back on it, like, wow, it's a majority.
So for anyone that isn't on any particular like sites that test your, not test your fetishes necessarily, but test your desire for pain or giving pain or being a pet. So being a pet is a thing, right? Or being a little. Like, being a little or being a caregiver is literally the desire to act like a child or to be with somebody who's acting like a child. And so on one hand, I think that's awesome, because there's people out there that have this desire and instead they're fulfilling that with an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's totally appropriate.
I think that that's a very safe way to fulfill that desire for you if you can't control that desire, right?
Without creating any victims.
Yes. And the people that want to act
like healing, like some sort of sex therapy.
And there's adults that like to act like children and be cared for because they didn't receive that as children. So it satisfies a deep-seated need or trauma for both parties. And so although I don't enjoy either side of that and don't want to participate, I do have a lot of respect for people that instead of doing something that would be really evil and wicked, instead find a healthy outlet with another adult to fulfill that. But what surprises me is when you look at profiles and you see these tests, how many people have a degree of desire for it.
Mm-hmm.
It is shocking.
Yeah.
How many people desire to be either to be a child with an adult or to be an adult with a child.
I mean, I am totally turned on by the daddy-daughter role play.
Yes, I am not.
So, and it's interesting because we're two people in the same room, we're close friends, and have totally different feelings on that.
Yep.
And I mean, you have daddy issues.
I'm like opposite because of my daddy issues. When some man is like, come to daddy, I'm like, no, I don't want to be with my daddy. Don't call yourself my daddy. I want nothing to do with it. If you call yourself daddy to me, it's a complete turn off. I don't want to be in the same room as you. I don't want to be thinking sexually about you. I don't want anything to do with the thought of anything sexual towards my daddy. But yes.
But for me,
it's opposite.
It's like total opposite. It turns me on like so much.
Yeah.
And but I'm not I'm not thinking about being with my dad, but it's that I don't know what it is psychologically, and again I could psychoanalyze that now, but
that will be for another episode.
psychoanalyzing
Psychoanalyzing our brains and why we do our own weirdnesses.
Our kinks and how they came to be.
Yeah.
But it's funny because we both have daddy issues.
Yep.
But
similar daddy issues too.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good point, because it's so easy for us to judge one another. And again, look at that. Me and you sitting in the same room, closest of friends, same issue, had dads with similar issues, like
totally
a lot
emotionally abandoned.
Yeah, mothers that treated us very similarly, very similar traumas. And yet, we being individuals and different people took that in a very different way as we became adults. And I think that that's so important for us to remember, because it's so easy to say, ew, look at that fetish, or ew, look what that person's into, or ew, that person's even into fetishes, or that person's not into fetishes and really into vanilla. And it's just so easy to look at another person and to judge them.
Turned away sexually completely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, asexual. There's asexual people, and that doesn't mean that they actually were born asexual. Like, that stems from somewhere too.
Yeah.
Like, we all have our thing, and I think the real thing that I've learned from delving into talking to all these different men and women sexually and about their fetishes is just really has helped me learn even more how to not judge and to see, like, okay, that's good for you, and what's amazing is you can find somebody else in this world where that's good for them, and then you too can fulfill that, and this is good for me, and there's people out there that really enjoy what I enjoy, which is amazing, and I can fulfill that with them. Hopefully, we hope someday that could happen.
The perfect dynamic.
Oh yes, I had it but lost it, so there's that. Could have had it, possibly, but there's always potential to find it again. So
yeah, probably, and even better. Honestly.
Even better. I guarantee I could. I still have plenty of years left. So
yeah, you sure do.
Well, if there's any other weird fetishes out there, or fetishes that you might have that you might feel comfortable sharing, knowing that this is not a place to judge those things, like, share them. We'd love to hear.
Well, one thing I was thinking about while we were talking is people that just are looking for people to cuddle.
Oh,
they don't even want to have sex.
I want to have sex though, but I do want to cuddle.
I mean,
I need
yes,
that.
you do, but I was saying there are people.
I know.
There are people that literally there's cuddle
just
parties.
Pay to cuddle. I know.
They have cuddle parties.
I want it all though.
Well, no,
it's hard for me to understand that. That's what I'm saying. It's hard for me to understand. I'm like, give me
cuddle and then not, because to me it's all encompassing. It's
yes,
like you cuddle and then.
But I do get the cuddling piece. But I want it all.
But that's if we're psychoanalyzing everything briefly, that definitely comes from, like, just someone who really needs affection and beyond any kind of sexual desire, just really needs to feel the presence of another person in a safe way. Yeah, she's raising her hand. She was affectionately abandoned by her husband all these years.
And mother.
And mother.
Always.
Ever.
Yes.
Always, yes.
Yes, I would love some cuddles. I would take cuddles without sex. I would take cuddles every night.
Yeah.
Every evening, every morning.
Honestly,
I would take cuddles.
I think
I just want touch. I just want my arm to be touching against another human being. Like, I just so crave that, and I so clearly know where it stems from.
Yeah. And I, clearly like an orgasm is great, but I think that there's sex is great. It can be great. Sometimes it can be terrible. But like the affection afterwards is like almost better. The cuddling and the closeness and the pillow talk.
I'm surprised how many men seem to run from affection more than women, but I'm surprised how many men say that they enjoy aftercare more than they enjoy the sex. Like their favorite part of sex is aftercare, is cuddling and talking afterwards.
Or kissing. Or just kissing.
Yeah, I ask men because I'm always thinking that they're just gonna want the sexual act, right? And I'm like, do you like to kiss? And they're like, oh yes, I love to. I'm like, wow. And I think it's just a matter of like that always being in my head. And when you actually ask men, do you like touch? Do you like sensual touch? Do you like kissing? Do you like aftercare? Do you like cuddling and talking and having a deep discussion after? Like, do you enjoy this? More often than not, they say yes. They do. They want that, and they don't only want it. They actually show enthusiasm for how much they enjoy it and need it.
Right. I think we all do, honestly. I mean, I've had, you know, situations where it's like, bam, wham, bam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
And it's like, you leave kind of empty.
Yep.
You know? It's like, what was that? Like, ugh. It always leaves this strange residue.
Because that's not what we're really seeking.
No.
We're not actually seeking just the... Like, if we wanted to have a baby, and that's all we wanted was to have a baby, would that be satisfying? Yes, that would be enough.
Yeah.
Like, let's just do that as much as we can, all day, every day.
And
like,
then I'll just move on with my day.
Yes, but that's not
After
what
I
we're... that's not what we're... that's not what we're seeking. We're seeking that intimacy, and sex is not intimacy, and intimacy is not sex. You can have sex without intimacy, and you can have intimacy without sex. Like, sex can be a part of intimacy, but it is not intimacy, and that is a fallacy that is rampant in our world, where we say there's no intimacy in our relationship, and we're talking about or thinking about sex, and intimacy is holding hands while your wife is cooking or doing dishes, touching her lower back, or coming over and giving her, put your hand on her shoulder and give her a kiss on the cheek, or your husband sitting down after a long day and you go over and rub his shoulders. You hold hands when you're walking. You talk about your feelings and your day. That's intimacy. There's emotional intimacy. There's verbal intimacy. There's so much intimacy, and I think that we're all seeking intimacy. And yes, the pleasure of orgasm, the pleasure of sex is amazing, but when that's combined with an intimacy, that's when that satisfaction really happens.
I mean, I could absolutely forego like kink altogether, just having like making love to someone and having that very deep, like almost like your souls are like intertwining while you're doing it, and then the cuddling afterwards, and just like being in each other's presence, being skin to skin. Like I could do that with one person, like for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And be completely satisfied.
Completely satisfied.
And also intimate outside of the bedroom, you know, doing things together, like, you know, planning a trip together, going to get coffee together one morning, grabbing, I mean, it's intimate, you know.
Doing life together, being partners.
Going to grab a, you know, a bagel and
splitting a grinder
and going to walk and grab some coffee. Like, those things are very intimate and fulfilling. There's because I've experienced both. You know,
sometimes routine can be intimate. Like the two of you every morning, like I don't even drink coffee, but just thinking, like, you go downstairs and you make your coffee together and you know what each other likes in their coffee. Like, there's something intimate about knowing each other and knowing your desires and your little likes and things. And there's something that's really, it puts a smile on my face to think about the intimacy of knowing somebody that deeply, that I know all their little likes and I can provide that to them. Well, you know, that makes me feel kind of kinky and sexy and like intimate with somebody.
I think it allows for more intimacy inside the bedroom. I think this is a discussion that we need to actually have
And a
in another
whole
episode.
different
It's
episode.
like a whole.
But that's what I was just gonna say, because we could really go off
But I do.
on a whole nother
But if we
thing
want
with
to
this.
tie it into like weird kinks that we've come across, I think all kinks are related to a desire of some sort of human connection, intimacy, and trauma that we're trying to fulfill
or heal. Like, there's even people
Yep.
that want to be degraded.
Yes.
They're like
Because
men.
And you would call that intimacy, but they crave
the sissy men.
Yeah.
So there's sissy men that want to be
women that love to
sissies and
beat like
literally cut.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I think it's like this it's a control thing too, because
I'm gonna control my abuse. Basically.
Yes, if people are going to abuse me, and if that's all I'm worth and people are going to abuse me, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to control it by asking for it, by having safety words around it, by being...
I can make it stop when I want it to stop.
Yes.
Or not.
Yes. And if it's going to happen, I'm going to... Or if it used to happen to me and doesn't happen anymore, I can heal that through taking control over it in this scenario now, which helps me to somehow feel that control that I didn't have then. And I don't think it necessarily fulfills that, but I can see how it stems from that desire to go back and have that control that you didn't have in that traumatic situation.
Yeah.
That's
and it could be very, very healing. And I think that is really where kinks stem from anyways. Fetishes, all of it. I mean, we all go unscathed growing up, and no matter what part of the world you are born in. Some people experience a lot more very traumatic things than others, depending on location. But we all have our stuff.
Not necessarily. When you walk through a neighborhood, you have no clue what's going on in each and every person's home.
That's what I'm
Even
saying.
if you know them quite well.
Depending on location, family that you're born in. I mean, some people have way more trauma than others, but we all have trauma. All of us.
Yep.
There's not one person that has been unscathed by this world. Yep. But
so let's just all be a little bit more understanding of one another and our weird things.
And honestly, we know we'll probably be judged by our circles for starting this podcast and talking about
just talking about this stuff. Yeah, not even engaging in it, just but being open to talk about it.
But really, the point of our podcast is to really discuss the most intimate things that we think about, and hard things that we think about, things that we struggle with, things that come up. We have invasive thoughts, we have all of these things, and it is freeing for I think Jill and I to start doing this, and as we grow to not cast judgment on others, we are growing to be able to talk about things that everybody thinks about but aren't willing to talk about. And it's been it's only our second episode, but we feel just excited and a freedom. I think
a freedom to not judge ourselves, and a freedom to not worry about if any of you are judging us.
Exactly.
Because it is gosh
ultimate
darn
freedom.
Freeing. Because I have lived my life tiptoeing through, walking on eggshells in the world so that nobody judges me. And this is an opportunity for me to have full freedom to be me, to speak freely, to say as I wish, without any fear of whatever your judgment is, whether you judge me or not, to be able to walk away and not take that with me anymore.
Yep, and to let our listeners know that they're not weird.
And they're not going to be judged. And if you're judged by the world, you can talk to us, because we're not going to judge you.
Yep.
Because we understand.
And
we're sorry.
Anybody who's doing the judging has their own stuff behind closed doors, and it doesn't matter who you are.
Yep. And we're sorry that you have to go through that too, because we've lived it also.
Yep.
So with that, we'll be back next week
Yes,
with another episode. Thank you for listening.